Welcome back to Season 3, Episode 4 of the Inside Sports Podcast. Of course, the DE is always capitalized on the end. It's Jordan Cruz, it's Howard Woodard, it's Ryan Greaser. We're back for another week of the pod. And, of course, Editor Will. Shout out to Editor Will. He did the first week. He's actually back there on the ones and twos. Shout out to Editor Will. He'll be audio engineer today, Will, as well. 35-28 win for Saluki football. I think that's where we want to start. Howard, take us through that game.
Jay Cruz, Ryan, this was a good win against a solid team. I was unsure about how they would look after their first two games, but I think the biggest takeaway was the offensive, the way the offense established themselves, especially through the air. I mean, DJ Williams had over 300 yards, two receivers in Keontae Lewis and is it Hezekiah and I forgot his.
Hezekiah is his last name.
Hezekiah is his first name. I mean his last name. But
Nashawn Hezekiah.
Nashawn, yes. They both had over 100 yards, and I think like watching it from a higher view, like the way that DJ created through it with his legs for several plays. There were a couple of drops as well, but I think he played very well. He got pulled late in the game. They said it was a finger injury, and we didn't get much going after that. But I mean, that game, it came pretty close at the end because we botched a field goal. We went for it on fourth down with a chance to seal it. We didn't get it. It came down to that last drive, but the defense did hold up. It's a little kind of bend don't break. And against this week, against SEMO, they're going to need to be better in terms of passing defense because SEMO passes 63 times in their game, their overtime win. They couldn't run the ball at all. I don't think a running back had over 5 yards rushing.
Wow.
But they're going to need to be better because it seems like SEMO's identity is passing the ball. But a good win for SIU. Hopefully DJ is good to go.
Apparently that finger injury is pretty nasty too. So we'll see how much it affects him if he ends up maybe having to miss time this week. Hunter Simmons did come in, and he made a couple good throws, but clearly the offense wasn't nearly as dynamic. At least that's the vibe I got.
Is it on his throwing hand, or is it?
I believe it is on his throwing hand. Don't quote me on that.
I don't know because they didn't say it till after the game, but it'd be nasty in the finger, even if it isn't his, because you have to receive the snap,
right?
So regardless, so we'll see.
Ball protection.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks about how I wanted to see more from DJ through the air. He delivered this week.
He was incredible.
He was incredible. And then I wasn't able to watch the game live. I was able to go back and watch parts of it. But the biggest thing that stood out to me were the big plays in this game. Incarnate Word's secondary just got torched. I think we had one that was over 50 yards and 3 more that were over 30-yard plays.
Keontae's had the reverse sweep as well on the ground. That was pretty early in the game. But, they were pushing downfield. Yeah.
I mean, the big plays, if we can continue playing like that, this offense is going to be tough to stop.
Yeah, the ceiling is definitely higher compared to, last year where, it was we can't even get over 20 against a solid defense. So
people may recognize, by the way, the Incarnate Word quarterback is named Zach Calzada. College football fans will know. He was the A&M quarterback in 2021 when they beat Bryce Young and Bama at A&M. So that's kind of an interesting thing. When I saw him, I was like, man, the Incarnate Word may actually have a legit offense. And they got better in the second half.
Yeah.
It was funny watching him out there because he did kind of look like a man amongst boys.
Yeah, he was big.
Because he's just bigger than everyone. Clearly you can tell why he was recruited at such a high level. He's just got the size to go along with it. Another great win for football. Again, back-to-back dubs. Let's beat SEMO this week, though. I think this is what we need to focus all our energy on.
Yep. War for the wheel.
We hate them for a reason. Let's beat their butts this weekend. Next, we got Saluki volleyball. My volleyball girls went 2-1 this past weekend. They beat UT Martin 3-2 on Tuesday in one of the best volleyball games I've ever watched in my entire life. Unbelievable comeback. I'll get more into that in a minute. And then they lost to Lindenwood on Friday 3-2, and then swept Austin P 3-0 on Saturday, one of the more stress-free wins. So it was a very interesting week, and I think it all starts on Tuesday, one of the biggest roller coaster games I've ever seen, because we went down 0-2 once again. And I'm not sure that Coach loves games where you have to go down 0-2 to get the win, but I guess he'll take them any way he can get them, because in set 3 in that game, Kelly Franklin did get hurt, and I think she's okay. From what I've been told, she's going to be fine. I don't anticipate her missing that much time. But she came out, and UT Martin went on a run, and I thought we were going to get swept. But the fact that they all came together and got that 5-set win coming back for the reverse sweep, absolutely incredible. I think one player who definitely deserves a shout out, Eva Kurkowski, middle hitter, 17 kills and 8 blocks in that game. Unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable for a freshman at a position that we have needed somebody to step up and take the reins there. So that was a very, very encouraging sight to see. Quick little tidbit. I just found out this hasn't been released yet. This is a good thing we don't release the pod till after this because she did win Freshman of the Week in the MVC.
Nice.
So shout out to that. By now you will know, but the public doesn't yet. I was actually just emailed that. But yeah, her and Larissa Seeger in the middle. They've both been playing defensively. They've been okay. I've heard the coaches talk about how they need to be a little bit quicker, getting up and trying to block. But offensively, they're both performing incredible. I want to give another shout out to Kaylin Pribble as well. She got her first collegiate kill in place of Kelly Franklin, and so we definitely need Kelly back. I don't want to understate her at all, but it was nice to get that win and then sweet Boston P on Saturday. So
yeah, I think it's really impressive, especially like you talked about watching that win on Tuesday because you were down 2-0 and then Kelly gets hurt. Just the depth and like the way the team can rally around that's really important. But like you said, they do play a lot of close matches and close sets as we've seen already. So having a closer like Kelly, who's the team leader in kills, you're gonna need her on the floor. So hopefully, like you said, she's good to go on Thursday when they play.
Yeah, I don't think we noted their overall record either. SIU volleyball sitting at 6-3 through their first 9 matches, which I believe would put them on pace for almost a 20-win season because I think they play like 28 games.
I think it would be 20 wins. Yeah,
Right around there. Yeah.
It'd be like 19.
20 and 10. I think.
Yeah, it'd almost be exactly that.
Yeah. So again, encouraging signs. And I said before the season that they weren't going to miss Natalie Garcia and Tatum Tornado that much. I don't think I was wrong on that, but we definitely don't have as much depth this year as we did last year. I think it's just because all of our depth is freshmen and sophomores.
Sure.
And so they're going to get better. They're going to get better as the year goes on. Sky's the limit for this team, I still think. And so being 6-3 is great. Coming up this week, we're hosting another tournament. It's a Saluki Invitational. First game's at Davies, which is an electric environment. It's definitely one of the more unique ones now because most every program now has a new facility and then these nicer gyms. But that's what makes Davies ours, is because it's where we practice and it's where a bunch of Saluki history was made a long time ago. So we play Missouri State on Thursday, which starts our conference action. But it's weird, we don't actually get into conference play until the next week because we play SEMO on Friday, SIUE on Friday, SEMO Saturday. So yeah, it's a little appetizer before the football game on Saturday. If you want to get out, watch volleyball beat SEMO, hopefully, and then watch the football team whip up on them as well. So, speaking of winning, which we've done a lot of this last couple of weeks in the SIU fall sports, soccer is a big reason why, and I'm honestly impressed with the start that they've gotten off to, Ryan Grazer.
Soccer is a really big reason why. I mean, they're sitting at 4-2-2. This is tied for their best, through 8 games, their best start to a season. I think if they win on Thursday, I was just looking that would be their best through 9 games, and therefore their best start ever if they were to win on Thursday. On Thursday, they are going to play Illinois State here in Carbondale at 6 p.m. But last week, they came off of a really, really good win against SIUE. It was a physical game. SIU, Carbondale, we got called for 14 fouls. For soccer fans, that's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of whistles, especially when SIUE only got, I think, 4 called against them. I really like seeing that out of this team.
Yeah.
Because they're willing to play physical. They may not win or have an overly powerful offense, but we're willing to play the dirty work, do the dirty work and win in the midfield.
In the second year of Graymore, I think it's really good to see the team establish an identity, as you pointed out, the physicality of a soccer team. And I think that's so important to have that backbone to fall on. Like you said, they've had some struggles in terms of creating offense, but if you can be physical, if you can compete throughout 90 minutes, that'll be something that the team can know they can depend on throughout the season and throughout the program.
Well, yeah, and I think the team is taking on the identity of their coach, which is always a good sign, especially for team chemistry and as the year goes on. I mean, if you watch Graham on the sidelines, he is one of the more intense coaches you'll see. I mean, he's constantly yelling, but that's not always a bad thing.
Right.
It just means he cares. And so I think his team is taking that form, and yeah, it's been really, really encouraging to see.
Yeah, we definitely have to give a shout out to Sophia Schicklin again. I feel like we do that every week in this section.
Yeah.
But she was again named Freshman of the Week in the MVC. So, and she also leads the team in goals. As a freshman, she only plays like half the game too. That's one of the most impressive parts of this. Like, you're leading the team in goals, true freshman, playing 45 minutes a game. And I also do want to touch on maybe our offense hasn't gotten a ton of shots off, but when we are, we're shooting on goal. Like, almost, it's like 49.2% of our shots are on goal as compared to our opponent percentage, which is at like 30%. So we're not getting as many, but we're making it count when we do shoot.
Going to be an interesting weekend for Saluki sports. All 3 teams are at home this weekend. We got Saluki soccer on Thursday, volleyball Thursday through Friday. Then, of course, football will cap off the incredible weekend on Saturday night. Let's go to Told You So. Lots to talk about. We always have a lot to talk about on the Told You So segment, so let's get right to it. Welcome into the Told You So segment. Heated debates are going to happen today. I'm just warning everybody now. Get your children out of the room. There's going to be some terrible things. No, just kidding. Won't be that bad. Let me update everybody on the King Tut's Cup. Right now, me and Ryan are 11-6, and we have a 1-game lead over Howard at 10-7. Again, it's early in the year, especially with college football. Not a ton of swing games here. NFL, though, there was in the NFL. We'll get to that.
Sure.
What an insane week in the NFL. But we are going to start with college, as we always do. Just a few storylines. Let's go back to our picks. Kansas State, they dominated Arizona on Friday night, and I could not have seen that result coming at all. I could not believe that their defense played as well as they did. And Arizona, I mean, I guess the thing that I took away was that McMillan, their receiver, is the only offensive option, and he can't win games on his own, especially against a good team like Kansas State. And I mean, I would pick Kansas State to win that conference right now. I mean, as dominant as they look. You saw Dylan Edwards, the Colorado transfer, came in, had a punt return, I believe. He's a stud. They have a lot more weapons than I even realized on that team. Bama, I mean,
It's Bama.
they went up to Wisconsin and did what Bama is supposed to do.
Obviously.
To teams like that. Now, part of that was because Wisconsin's quarterback, Tyler Van Dyke, got hurt early in that game, and that basically ended any sort of offensive explosion chances they had. Which is sad because early in that game, they were actually kind of hanging with them, and then Bama really just pulled away. Their receiver, by the way, Ryan Williams, he's a freshman. I'm pretty sure he's still 17 years old.
Yeah.
Remember that name. There's a lot of really, really good receivers, freshman receivers in this 2024 class that are going to be really, really good in the league too, I think. And then the last one, another pretty surprising result, Missouri barely beat Boston College. I think a lot of people were not as impressed with Boston College's win over Florida State a couple weeks ago, just because Florida State is so bad. And by the way, they did lose again. Just unbelievable. But Mizzou did survive. They had to pull away late. Boston College got a late touchdown, but they did win that game by 6. So we all had the same picks except for Howard, who took Arizona. So again, another pretty vanilla week of college football. We're probably going to have another one this week as well, the way it looks. Couple other notes. Again, I mentioned Florida State lost again, this time to Memphis at home in front of like 20 people. And they should just fire Mike Norvell now. He's been there for, I think, 5 or 6 years at this point, which I don't think a majority of the college football fan base realizes how long he's been there. And in that time, he's never developed a high school quarterback. He's always used transfers, and I think it's finally biting him now. I don't really. You can blame DJ, and obviously DJ Uiagalelei is a big part of that, but just the team isn't good enough either. I mean, it's not like he has really much help, if anything. So it's a sad state of affairs in Tallahassee. Now, this one I'm really mad at myself for because LSU and South Carolina should have been on our pick sheet last week, and that's where College Game Day was. I don't know how that completely missed my radar. An unbelievable game that was. That LSU actually pulled out a game they were down 17-0 in.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was crazy. An unbelievable environment at South Carolina, by the way. That was a noon kickoff, but home field advantage was cranking. I mean, that was unbelievable. Questionable calls down the stretch. I think South Carolina kind of got screwed on a couple, but I still think they should have won that game. They gave away a lot of turnovers as well. Their starting quarterback did get hurt too, so I kind of feel bad for the Gamecocks. I think that's the game that they deserved to win. I think they were the better team that day. You guys were talking about this before we started recording. Notre Dame. Man, did they come out and they mollywopped Purdue 66-7. I mean, Greaser, I know we're not huge Notre Dame fans on this pod, but they put the hammer down on those folks.
Mm-hmm. The hammer went down. Like, that's about all you can say. I mean, in Purdue, we knew that they weren't going to be that good, but they should not have lost that bad. I mean, their coach, Ryan Walters, he was Illinois' defensive coordinator, I think, 2 years. This is Walters' second year at Purdue, I believe. The years that he was at Illinois, I think their last year they were top 10 in the nation in total defense. That was a stacked defense, by the way, for people that don't know.
For sure.
But their defense has been not good while he's been there. Now, he's a first-time head coach, so, like, cut him a little slack, I guess. But it's Purdue. Purdue.
This is one of the things that I was afraid of with Notre Dame is, like, they're going to start playing really good out of nowhere, and they're going to force their way back into the conversation, which I don't like. I mean, they've shown who they are at this point. Like, yeah, you can crush Purdue after a loss when you have all the rage and anger possible, but they don't stand a chance.
You can't get that NIU taste out of their mouth.
No, you can't.
Like,
you can't.
Absolutely not.
Not out of the rest of the countries either.
Nope.
Oregon, again, another team that has not been playing great the first couple of weeks. They went out and took care of business against their rival. And, Oregon State, they're not all that great. But the fact that Oregon came out and did what they did was actually pretty impressive. So, good bounce back for them. And then, to me, this is the number one storyline coming away from this weekend was Georgia really struggled with Kentucky. A Kentucky team that, mind you, the week before lost by 25 at home to South Carolina, who, again, I don't really think is that great. Yes, I think they should have beat LSU, but I don't think they're really that great of a team. Yeah, Georgia has one of these games every year where they go up against a random SEC East, or sometimes mostly it's a team of their division who is middle of the road at best. Kentucky might be worse than that this year, and they definitely should have lost that game. They were lucky to win that one. They did hold Kentucky to 4 field goals, so I guess, don't give up a touchdown. You should expect to win, but that was just a weird showing from their offense again. And again, they do this once a year. You never really know when it's going to happen, but you can always bank on it happening at some point. So, did you get a chance to look at some of those highlights?
I did, but I think my main thing is, like, you have a bye week this week, and you have Alabama next week.
Yeah.
So
cannot wait to talk about that game.
Whatever preparation that needs to be done this week and next, you need to put all your effort into beating Alabama, because you didn't have a good performance, and with no actual game reps, you're going to need to be prepared against Alabama, who I would pick them right now.
You would pick Bama?
I would pick Bama right now.
I mean, again, they've looked better than Georgia, especially last week against some real competition, both on the road. So, yeah, that's a good comparison point. Because Georgia didn't play as well, Texas is now your number one team in the AP poll for the first time since – I didn't look this up. Probably since Vince Young. It's like 05, 06.
Probably,
something like that. I mean, I don't know when else they would have been. Right. Last year, maybe they would have deserved to, but I don't think they ever had enough wins to get there. So
shout out Cole Daly for that.
Shout out Cole Daly. Shout out to Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning.
Man.
I mean, that one run circulated through all the web spheres, if you will, and Quinn Ewers, better watch your back. Watch your back, because Arch is coming.
Is he going to be back? He's going to be back this week.
I think he'll be back this week, but you know that one. This is a little sidebar here, but Mark Phillips, I think is his name. He did that one video with the backup quarter, like the starting quarterback.
Oh yeah, it's like such a good video.
And the coach is like, man, we should have been having a quarterback like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, I mean, he's all right.
He's not even doing anything for us.
Yeah. Wait, and he's 21. How old are you? 26. I mean, and he's younger. No, so that'll be an interesting thing to follow. I don't think Quinn Ewers will lose the job.
Yeah,
he hasn't done anything.
I would be pretty sure.
He hasn't done anything to do it, and he's been so good for Texas for so long.
Exactly. All right, let's get into the games this week. 3 pretty good games. I mean, they're all ranked this week. But it looks like we're going to go consensus on all these. And I guess the thing we can talk about is, like, were any of these close for you guys? Let's start with USC-Michigan. USC is favored by 5.5. Before the season, I had this marked down as a Michigan win no matter what. But they came out against Arkansas State last week, looked awful again. And it doesn't matter who their quarterback is to me, really. And the entire Michigan fan base is calling for Alex Orji to start. Well, again, if he couldn't beat out Davis Warren, you see how bad Warren is, what makes you think Orji's going to be any better? Because he can't throw for crap. And every time he comes in right now, it's going to be a run. So I don't really know where Michigan goes from here. This will be an interesting test to see if USC's defense is as good as they looked against LSU.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go Trojans, and I don't know if it's going to be close.
Oof. I'm also going with the Trojans. They are coming off a bye, which, in college, when you get that type of rest and that type of preparation, and Michigan hasn't looked great. They haven't been firing on all cylinders. And I think USC's offense will be a little bit too much for them.
Especially for Lincoln Riley, too. That's a big week for him. And again, yeah.
This is really his welcome to the Big Ten moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It is.
going into the big house, getting to play Michigan. Now, this isn't the Michigan of days past.
Right.
Literally just last year even. So
They lost so much, man.
they did. It's amazing how good that roster was and how much they were able to lose. I think Michigan falls out of the AP poll after this week.
As they should.
I mean,
2 losses.
even if
at
it's
home.
close, even if they lose by like a field goal, I think they're going to fall out.
And I believe next week, I'm not saying they will lose this game, but next week they go at Washington. Don't quote me on that. Either next week or the week after, they go at Washington. So, like, welcome.
The week after, they got Minnesota next week and then Washington.
Minnesota and then at Washington. So, like, Washington's not that great, but, like, that could be a game I see them losing just because it's at Washington.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be interesting. So, was that game a tough decision for you guys at all, really?
Not really, no.
No, not really for me either. Yeah. I mean, I had maybe, like, 1 second where I was like, well, no, just never mind. Anyway, next game. Now, this one, I'm surprised that we were all consensus on this one.
Yes.
But your reasoning might end up being the same as mine. The Utah Utes are going at the Oklahoma State Cowboys. This is one of the top probably 3 or 4 games in the Big 12 this season. This will go a long way into determining who ends up in the driver's seat for the Big 12 championship game, and then, of course, the college football playoff if they do win it. Utah is favored in this game by 1.5, and I'll just start off the analysis here by saying Cam Rising, the Utah quarterback, he got hurt again, and he did not play in the Utah State game. It'll be interesting to see what his status is heading into this week. If it's anything like years past, I don't know if he's going to – I honestly would predict that he doesn't play this game. It kind of sucks that we do this on Monday, so we don't really know all the injury news.
Right.
But I would be shocked if he plays in this game. But to me, it wouldn't matter either way. I'm still going Oklahoma State. They looked much better last week against Tulsa. Again, this is one of these teams that struggled the first couple of weeks. How are they looking in week 3? They came out and blasted Tulsa. So give me Oklahoma State. Give me Ollie Gordon. I think they're going to win this game at home.
I've been reading up trying to find out if Rising is playing, and I think the expectation is that he is.
Okay.
But I'm still taking Oklahoma State. I mean, the way their offense is looking, Ollie Gordon still has not got off to like a crazy start as he expected. Expected to be in the Heisman race and all that. So I'm expecting maybe he'll get on that train right now this week.
Yeah, I mean, losing your quarterback anytime. Utah should be well prepared for this because they have to deal with it like Cam Rising's whole career. They just had to deal with injuries. Mm-hmm. So they know how to play without him if he doesn't play. But I really don't feel good picking them, especially not knowing it all. So Oklahoma State.
And it's sad because this is a Utah team that I looked at before the season. I'm like, okay, they've actually got some pretty good skill talent now. Like they could potentially compete in a playoff setting. But now that Rising's hurt again, it's like you don't know if he's ever going to be himself at any point during the year. I mean, maybe he's not himself anyway. I mean, with all the injuries that he's dealt with, you know how that changes the body. So we're all going to Oklahoma State, and then we're all going to go with the Tennessee Volunteers, who are 7.5-point favorites on the road at Oklahoma this week. Again, Oklahoma, top 15 team in the preseason, has looked really, really shaky. They even against Tulane last week, and we saw that's another reason why that Kansas State result was so surprising. Yeah. You saw the way that Tulane was able to move the ball on them. Again, they have a whole new coaching staff this year, and then for K-State to just completely shut down Arizona the way they did was surprising. Well, Oklahoma, they haven't really shown any signs of getting off the mat other than week 1 against Temple. You saw their game against Houston, and, man, this Tennessee team, I mean, whether it's right or wrong, we're going to find out this week, but they're one of the most popular picks right now to not only make the playoff, but maybe win the SEC, maybe make a run because they look spectacular. And until I see otherwise, I'm just going to take the Vols.
I would love to see Ryan to try to say Tennessee's quarterback's name because I can't even say
it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm going to spell it for you.
Oh, no.
Do you have any idea of what
his last name is?
Could look like at least?
I know that you guys have just been calling him Nico, so
for a reason.
Yeah.
So it's IAMALEAVA.
Imalieva?
That's actually really close.
Yeah, I think it is closer.
I think Amaliava.
But
Okay.
Amaliava, yeah. Is it EVA on the end or is it AVA?
it's AVA.
Amaliava.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maliava.
It's actually
That really wasn't as bad as it was.
no, that was
Yeah,
good.
I figured it would
That
be.
was good.
Yeah. It was
Showing
just a lot
improvement.
of E's and A's, but
Yeah.
he literally hasn't played a full game yet.
No.
As a true freshman because
He hasn't.
they've been just blowing people out. So
Yeah.
I'm expecting it to be much of the same. Like you said, Oklahoma's been pretty shaky, so I'm rolling with Tennessee as well.
Yeah, Oklahoma's O-line has really, really struggled so far,
Yeah.
even against the worst teams. Tennessee's front is one of the reasons why I think they're going to end up being a playoff team this year. And James Pierce, top 10 pick, most likely. I mean, he's a dog. So this Tennessee team has a different energy right now, and I see them going in there. And I'm not going to say they're gonna crush them because I do think Nico is going to have some first true road game blues here. But yeah, give me Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm with Tennessee too. I mean, you guys hit a nail on the head with that. True freshman. I mean, see how he does. But if he hasn't played a full game yet, that's just an indicator of how good he's been and how good Tennessee's been.
Yep.
I mean,
Dominant.
that dominant. You just
Yeah.
said it.
Yeah.
That's the word for it.
So me and Ryan are both 8-1. Howard is 6-3. Not much going to change this week. Again, I think we all have pretty good reasonings, and again, this isn't one of those where I'm really surprised that we're all consensus. Next week, I mean, we've been talking about this game for a couple of weeks. Georgia, Bama, gonna come next week. I mean, I'll be interested to see how much our opinions change
Right.
between now and then. You said Georgia doesn't play this week.
They don't play this week.
Do you know who Bama plays this week, or if they play this week?
I'm pretty sure they do. That'll be something if they both.
And even
have
if they
buys
do,
the
they
same
probably
week
don't play.
before they played.
That would be great scheduling
It
if
would.
they both had a bye.
Pretty intentional, if I was.
Oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. I mean, that
Uh,
game day is gonna be there. It's gonna be the SEC 6:30 ABC game for sure.
They do. They are off this week.
They are off. Wow. So
Yeah.
both teams get a bye. That's
How about that?
that's to me that is one of the like cornerstone games of the year. I think Michigan Texas was the first one. Now we're getting another one next week with Bama and Georgia. So cannot wait. College football is absolutely on fire right now. Going to be an incredible season. You know what else has been incredible for some people, the NFL. It's been a wild. I'll just say this: if you're just looking at this from a purely like an NFL fan lens, it's been an unbelievable year so far. So many different storylines
Yeah.
you could go with, but of course we always start with state of the team, and we always start with winners. And unfortunately, only that side of the room had winners this week. And since Ryan's team won by more, Ryan, go ahead and take it away. Your Green Bay Packers, they got to win. Not
Gladly.
with Jordan Love at quarterback, but
Not.
with
Malik Willis,
Malik
who I did
Willis.
not believe in entering this week. He had shown absolutely nothing with the Titans in his career. This was actually his first game that he's thrown for over 100 yards, which is kind of crazy. And I think it was his first NFL touchdown, too.
Yeah.
He threw it to Dontavion Wicks. Shout out. Had a nice game this week. Not a ton of yards,
I can't
but,
believe he hasn't thrown a touchdown yet. That was kind of wild.
dude,
I
if
think I
you
said
watched
that
him in
last week, I
Tennessee at all, he was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Like, so bad. Now, Josh Jacobs won the game for the Packers.
They
He had
fed 'em.
32 carries. That is crazy. Matt LaFleur, that was the most like designed runs he'd ever called in a game. And that was the most carries he'd ever given to one player in a game. Now, the best part, 120 of those came before halftime. Like,
I think I saw they had 237 yards rushing at
Mhm.
halftime, which is like top 5 all time or something like that.
yeah, it was just some crazy number like that. I couldn't believe. And Jacobs was efficient, too. Like, I mean, he was averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Like, the Colts just had no answer for the Packers and their offensive line. Big shout out to Josh Myers. Did you guys see that clip of Josh Myers?
Yeah.
Jordan, you know
I
what I'm
didn't see that.
talking
Yeah,
about?
he threw up on the ball, and then Malik didn't
Oh, I
throw.
know.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it was literally he throws up on the ball as Malik is calling for it, and so and then the ball gets snapped immediately, and you can just kind of see it as Malik Willis catches the ball. He's like, "What's on this?" And so that was unfortunate, but there was a nice quote in the press conference about that from LaFleur, so that was fun. Jeff Hafley's defense, I was really impressed with that. Now, Anthony Richardson, kind of going back to his college days, he has all the arm talent in the world, but his decision-making is still not very good because 2 of those picks were just bad throws.
Yeah.
I mean, the third one I can kind of excuse a little bit, but 2 of those were just such ill-advised throws. But Packers capitalized, 3 picks in that game. I was really happy with how the defense played. And offense did enough. Without Jordan Love, I'm happy with enough. We don't need record-setting performances, just enough to win, get it done.
Yeah, for you guys specifically, I mean, I think it was obvious that he wasn't going to completely put the ball in Malik Willis's hands. He only threw it 14 times?
15.
Yeah, I mean, that's unheard of in today's NFL. And to lean on the run game like that against a Colts defense that should have been the game plan, which is what Jay Cruz and his Bears will face next week. But as far as the Seahawks go, pretty classic Seahawks game. Different from than last week where I was like, if we get the lead, we'll win this. This one where I was like, pretty nail-biting. We couldn't stop the run for a good part of this game. Ramondre Stevenson had his way. Also, Hunter Henry, Jacoby Brissett found him open early part of the game. But Jacoby Brissett, he's got pressured, like even in their first game against the Bengals, he got pressured a lot, but he would not go down. He evaded pressure really well. But Geno Smith played an amazing game. He was elite. I think I counted, like, just watching it live, was one bad throw where, like, he got pressured and he threw it up kind of loud, and Jabril Peppers just batted down when he could have got a pick. But he was on the money. We dropped 5 passes, and he only had, like, 10 incompletions. But he was amazing. The defense held up. The Patriots started off 4 for 4 on third down, and then we ended about 2 for 12, I think. So adjustments were made. We could not run the ball at all. So that's what makes Geno's performance even more impressive. Kenneth Walker was out with an oblique, so Zach Charbonnet got the start. And I had confidence in Charbs, but he did not have a great game. And like I said, it's a classic game because we were down 2017 going into our last drive, and we blocked a punt. Julian Love, huge block punt. Then we got the ball back, and 4th and 1, we had a chance to go for it. There's wishy-washy, but they didn't go for it. We just kicked a field goal, and I was confident because the Patriots offense couldn't do much outside of running the ball, and we were able to stop the run better in the second half. And even though they got the ball to start overtime, I was confident we got a quick stop. They punted it to us, and Geno and closed it out with Jason Myers as well, our kicker. So we got the Dolphins this week, and that would have been a better challenge before this last week, as we'll talk about that later with Tua. But I'm expecting a win again. Defense, I feel like they took a step back as far as stopping the run and maybe some missed tackles, but the pass defense was good as well. The offense was, I think, better, more cohesive throughout the game. But yeah, I'm expecting another win against the Dolphins this week and just keep stacking wins before we start facing some actual competitors like the Lions in Week 4.
Yeah. Who you got next week? Who did you say?
The Dolphins.
Oh, you said the Dolphins.
At home, so that's why I'm expecting a win. And like you said, Skylar Thompson starting, so.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Another one everyone's been waiting for.
The Bears.
Now the Bears lost to the Texans, a game that I predicted the Bears to win very last second. And to be honest, I don't think any of my analysis was all that wrong. I said we matched up pretty well with the Texans, especially defensively, and other than a couple of drives here and there, like the defense played outstanding.
Amazing
last night. Held the Texans to 4 field goals, 2 of which were like 60-yarders. Like Jaime Fairbairn was just drilling.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude's unbelievable. Which, by the way, kickers in the NFL now are unbelievably good.
I don't think Justin Tucker, he's not the best anymore.
Yeah, Justin Tucker, and he's
been missing, yeah.
He's kind of washed.
Yeah.
I think Fairbairn's got a legitimate claim to best kicker right now.
There's a couple guys who are have stood out as
he's been that guy so far this season. And, I do have him on one of my fantasy teams, so that's been pretty nice because he's getting you some extra points there.
20 both weeks.
Yeah,
I have him too.
Yeah, he's unbelievable, and it was the kickers were the reasons why both of those teams were really scoring in Sunday night's game. I mean, look, where should I start with the good or the bad? Where do you guys want me to start?
I think you should start with the bad. I mean, the good is basically the defense.
Pretty much, yeah. The good is the defense. Caleb actually threw for over 100 yards, which is good. He still hasn't thrown a touchdown. Almost had one to Odunze. It was just a little too high. They would have had it, but I mean, here's the thing. We know Caleb he's a rookie. Let's not forget about this. He's a rookie. And did I have too high of expectations? Yeah, I definitely did. I didn't really verbalize it that much, but like internally, I was always kind of like, yeah, we're going to be really freaking good. No. Again, just remember that he's a rookie. Now, that being said, there were still some things in last night's game and even in last week against the Titans where I'm like, come on, Caleb, like seriously, like when he does get an open shot, he doesn't take it. Now, that being said, I do think a part of that is a lack of confidence because of how bad and piss poor the offensive line has been. Howard and I were talking before. There was a stat on the 37 pass attempts that Caleb had. 36 of them were pressured, and 17 of those came from Donnell Hunter and Will Anderson, who, the other thing I was telling him was like, our tackles didn't actually play that bad. Hunter and Anderson were getting free rushers to the quarterback.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's a Shane Waldron problem. I don't know if that's probably an offensive line problem, but or a Texans, scheme thing where they're just scheming up their stunts and whatnot so well to where they're getting all these free rushers. Is D'Amico Ryan still calling? Is he calling defensive plays?
He is.
He's calling.
Well, he's doing an excellent job.
Yeah,
he's doing an unbelievable job. And you just look at that Texans roster and how much better they got over this offseason, especially defensively. Al-Shaair on defense was giving us heck all night. He probably should have gotten called for a flag when he just punched Roshan Johnson out of nowhere. But
while he was wearing a helmet.
While he was wearing a helmet, which is just dumb.
You see what he tweeted?
What did he tweet?
He was like, he had to show so much self-control or something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
he hit him.
It's always the second guy that gets caught.
Yeah. Right.
He probably definitely didn't deserve it, but because I don't really think he did anything. But no, I mean that was kind of a microcosm of the night. It was just the Texans had a little bit more energy on defense than we did, and that being said, given how bad the offense was, they did finally score a touchdown. Got 13 points as an offense as opposed to like 6 last week. And then at the end of the game, we still had a chance to win. Like that's just the same old Bears. It's like the offense is inept and the defense gives up a couple of bad touchdown drives. But at the end of the day, they're going to give you a chance to win the game. And the Bears had the ball with a minute 40 to go and a chance to drive down and score a touchdown and win, which, again, watching last night's game, the fact that we even had a chance to win just doesn't even seem real.
Right.
But that's just how good our defenses have been over the years and how they're good at keeping us in the game. So heading into next week, a game at Indianapolis, I think I expected both of these teams to look better than they have the first couple of weeks.
It's definitely true. I think, Jay Cruz, where are you at on your offensive line and your running game?
We need Ryan Bates back. That much is clear at the center position. I mean, Coleman Shelton. The fact that the entire NFL knows who he is not. If you're an offensive lineman, it's better if people don't know who you are. And Coleman Shelton's been a bad example of that. Nate Davis, there were so many highlights on Twitter of him last night, just in no man's land, like not blocking folks. I don't know what he's got going on.
He's one of the highest paid guards in the NFL too.
He is.
Fun fact.
He is, and I don't know. I mean, on paper, like he was supposed to be better than he has been. He's been terrible, but. A lot of false starts last night, too, especially from the right side of the O-line with Davis and Darnell Wright. I'm really not that concerned about the tackles, really. And again, it seems to be more of a communication thing and more of a cohesiveness problem than it is like a skill issue. I do think all 5 of those guys, including Shelton, like, they're not as bad as they look. Remember, Shelton was a starter on the Rams Super Bowl team.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he clearly has it in him, and I don't think he was a center. I think he was the left guard, so that was probably why. Again, why we need Ryan Bates back, which is, like, so badly. We also need Keenan Allen back, too, by the way, and he didn't play. And I can't believe they showed him as much as they did on the broadcast last night, by the way. They were showing Keenan Allen all the time, that's great, but it's like he's not playing. Like, who cares? And we have a lot of veterans on this team. They're going to help mentor Caleb, and again, he's a rookie. I think he's going to get better, but it's been a rough start. So I'm hoping this next week at Indianapolis, a team with a not great secondary, but again, they do have a good front. So, I mean, you can't really expose a bad secondary if your quarterback's getting harassed every single time. So we'll see what happens. I'm numb to these kind of Bears games. That's just how every game for the last 15 years has gone. So I'm not too pent up about it, honestly.
Sticking with the Bears, that brings us into fantasy football. Howard, you have a Bear on your bye list this week.
No way.
I do. Jay Cruz, I'm expecting you guys to break out. Like I told you before the pod.
Oh, gosh.
The Colts, the Texans are just so well coached, and they have so much talent on defense. Like, I'm not surprised in the result necessarily, especially when you look at the interior line. But this week, I'm putting faith in Shane Waldron to find a way to get the ball to your playmakers. Keenan Allen, is he going this week? Do we know?
Well, we'll find out.
We'll find out. But if he's not, that even gives me more reason to believe in Roma Dunze. I'm buying him this week. I just have a feeling that Colts secondary and that back half, even the linebackers, they're not the most talented group. The Bears, I just believe in the talent in that team so much to where, like, it's gonna come through eventually, and this is a defense that you should be able to take advantage of. I'm also buying Derrick Henry, and we haven't talked about the Cowboys, but the Cowboys, same issues, kind of. They just cannot stop the run. Their linebackers are so small, and like they can't stop the run. And the Ravens, even though they are 0-2, bad loss against the Raiders yesterday, but I'm picking the Ravens to win this game, as we'll get to later, but I'm expecting Derrick Henry to also be a big part of that. I'm also selling Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors had a nice game yesterday, but they're going up against the Browns this week. And the Browns defense, they're still the Browns defense. And you got Denzel Ward back there, Martin Emerson, and that pass rush that's going to be able to get to Daniel Jones. I'm expecting them to not be able to conjure up much for Malik Neighbors this week, so I'm selling him for this week.
That's going to be an ugly game.
Yeah.
That would be not. Do you want to go ahead? Because, Ryan, I see you have Malik Neighbors as well. Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I will. Malik Neighbors, finally, nice breakout game as a rookie.
That was awesome.
Especially from a fantasy perspective. He had 28 points. Good for him.
First touchdown.
Yeah, first touchdown. Big milestones for him.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to Malik Neighbors. I don't see it happening this week.
Yeah, it's the Commanders. That's my
that was exactly what I saw. I was like, holy crap, he got 28 points. Who's that?
It's not going to be his fault this week either.
Right.
It's just a bad matchup.
Yeah, bad matchup. Sticking with the Bears again, but this is with the Colts.
What?
Well, Colts Bears matchup.
Okay.
I am selling Anthony Richardson for this week.
Sure.
He looked bad against the Packers, and the Bears defense is a lot better than the Packers defense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think he throws 3 picks again, because if he threw 3 picks 2 weeks in a row, because did he have 2 in week 1?
He had at least one.
I think so.
I don't remember.
That would be just a legendarily
So
terrible
he already
start
has
to the year.
5?
I think so. He's got 4 or 5 already.
That's pretty
I don't think he throws 3 picks this week, but the Bears defense is going to have him under pressure. They're going to have him thrown off. This is not going to be a good week for Anthony Richardson.
No,
Now,
I agree.
on my buy list, Howard, you touched on it. Great win for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Coming back and beating the Ravens. Devontae Adams finally woke up, found his connection with Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying it.
Yeah.
Minshew, Gardner Minshew is one of the just most perplexing players in the NFL. But when he's on, he's on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's on now. It might only be a couple weeks that he is, but I really, really like Devontae Adams this week. Give me another wide receiver on my buy list. Give me Chris Godwin. He is, I believe, the #1 wide receiver in PPR.
Really?
In ESPN leagues right now. And
yesterday, I know.
in 2 leagues that I looked in, he was on people's benches.
Oof.
Put Chris
Rough.
Godwin in the game. Baker Mayfield loves to throw the ball to Chris Godwin.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bucks have...
I just saw it. They had the Broncos.
Yeah, the Bucks have the Broncos. Surtain had a rough week last week.
He did.
The rest of the Broncos defense really isn't that good either.
Mm-hmm.
And Bucks still have Mike Evans. So I doubt Chris Godwin plays mainly out of the slot.
Mm-hmm.
And so Surtain's going to be on Mike Evans most of the night.
Or at least on the outside.
Yeah, he's going to be on the outside. I think Godwin has another big game against the Broncos.
Devontae is going against the Panthers, who are one of the worst defenses I think I've ever seen.
I'm
Worst
interested
teams
to
I've
see
ever seen.
where
Sure,
they
worst
end
organization ever.
in NFL history, for just ineptitude.
Yeah.
Do we talk about them up along the 2007 Lions? And what year did the Browns go
Probably.
winless? That was 2016.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
they
it was 16, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they just benched Bryce Young. I said before, if Bryce Young, the way he's played, it isn't all his fault, especially last year, but it's at a point now where I think his confidence is shot. He cannot throw over the offensive line.
Yeah.
He's checking down a lot. He's not throwing it past the sticks. And they're starting Andy Dalton this week. So I think if Bryce Young would have stayed in there, I think they had a chance to go winless.
And I think one thing, and this is another pressure stat I saw yesterday. Bryce Young on 20, I believe it was 26 pass attempts, was only pressured on 4 of them.
Yeah.
He was only pressured on 4?
of them.
I said
And so
the line was better yesterday.
again, maybe there is something up with him.
Yeah.
And again, it's with the Caleb thing. Why I'm worried about the Bears O-line is I think Bryce was ruined. I don't think he's actually this bad. I think he was just ruined. Now, granted, I was always a Stroud over him guy, but I didn't think that this was going to happen at all. So
Yeah.
And the Panthers gave up their entire organization for them. So shout out Ryan Poles. Shout out Ryan Poles. Literally ruined. Which I saw a clip the other day, by the way. I think he was about to before he got the Bears job, he was about to get the Panthers job, and they denied him or something.
Lucky him.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody wants to be anywhere near the organization.
No.
Unless you're desperate.
No, Dave Canales, their coach, is like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into?
Tough for Dave. Seahawks quarterback coach.
Oh, nice. My buy sell, we'll go through this quickly because I have a lot of the same players. I like Devontae Adams, great pick for Ryan. Gardner loves him, and I think he'll keep throwing it his way. I'm actually going to sell Chris Godwin this week, and I'll tell you why.
Ooh.
Because this is the thing with the Bucs that the Bucs always do, and it's ever since Godwin's been there. 1 week it's a Godwin week, the next week is a Mike Evans week. Next week will be a Mike Evans week. Chris Godwin's not going to be as great. So I'm not saying he won't be. I'm not saying he's going to be terrible. I'm not saying he's going to bust. But give me Mike Evans to have a better week than Godwin this week. So I'm saying he won't be the number one player in fantasy this week. That's really all it is. He'll probably still be
Fair
top
enough.
20, top 15 scorer this week, but just compared to what he's done so far, I like Evans over him. I'm also going to buy Sam Laporta this week. Did the Lions forget that he's on the team or something because they didn't throw him the ball at all? Really either of the first 2 weeks, but especially this last game against the Buccaneers, he was basically non-existent.
Yeah,
so I
had
think
a bad game too.
I think they're gonna make it a point to get it to him against the Cardinals this week.
If we're talking about tight ends that haven't gotten the ball, what about Travis Kelce?
For sure. Trey McBride too hasn't really gotten the ball.
Trey McBride, I think he had 6 catches for
Yesterday?
60-some yards yesterday.
They got him late because Marv started off really hot.
Mhm.
I had
Oh yeah,
Marv.
2
Well, he had
catches, 2
130
TDs.
yards by halftime.
Yeah,
then he
but
didn't get
they
another
get-
catch.
Yeah.
But
Kelce, I mean, him and Mahomes, they are not, the past 2 years especially, they have not been fantasy-like guys.
No, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't even think Travis really cares anymore either. It's
No, he
just
does not
about
at
getting
all.
the dub. Let's just go through the game, and then in the playoffs we'll pick it back up.
Right,
Because
right.
you saw
For sure,
last year,
for sure,
Yeah.
and
for
saw
sure.
last year
mean-
they were unbelievable in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, you got to keep in mind, Travis is 35 years old. He does not want to catch the ball 12 times a game and get laid out. He's probably like, okay, I'm good with my 8 targets. And Noah Gray for them has really come around.
Mhm.
He's been kind of a player. I think this is his 3rd year, I want to
I
say.
feel like he's been there for a minute.
I think
Seems
it's
like he's been there for
I
a
think it's
minute.
his 3rd year, and he just really slowly has developed. He's not a starting tight end, but he's a really nice secondary piece for him, especially with how many injuries the Chiefs are having.
Ryan, I think
Here
it's
we
time
go.
for the picks.
It is time for the picks.
We're gonna do a quick recap of last week.
I will do a quick recap of last week. So,
We were terrible.
yeah, you look at our NFL picks records. College, we're good, but NFL, we are very bad. If we look at the list, Howard's 4-4, and Jordan and I are both 3-5. So,
Rough.
really hurting our King Tut's Cup standings here. If we're looking at last week's picks, so the Chiefs, all of us took the Chiefs. We were all correct. Not without a scare, though.
I was scared.
Some would say a lot of people would say they should have lost that game.
Definitely.
They could have. They were on track to.
Which credit to me, I bought the Bengals on the buy sell fantasy last week. So
Mhm.
credit to me for that.
Yeah, I mean, credit to the Bengals, and also I read a stat this morning. The matchups between the Chiefs and the Bengals since Joe Burrow's been drafted, the 6 times that they've played have been decided by an average of 3.5 points.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then it goes down because one of those was with Jake Browning playing. When Burrow's playing, it's 2 points. Those games are always super close. Something to keep in mind with the Chiefs, they lost Isaiah Pacheco
Yeah.
probably for at least 4 weeks, if not more. He broke his fibula, I want to say. It was something in his foot. He broke a bone in his
I think
foot.
it was fibula, yeah.
And, I mean, from how angry he runs, one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard on a broadcast was, he looks like he wants to hurt the ground when he's running.
Yep.
So Pacheco's hurt. Hollywood Brown's out until January, if you guys didn't see that.
That's
Yeah.
So Chiefs could be in a little bit of a dangerous spot. They still don't have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's gone for personal reasons.
Who's gonna start at running back for them?
Is Jerick McKinnon still on the team?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
Daryl Williams. No. Shout out Daryl Williams. but
Yeah.
I have
I
no
honestly
idea.
don't know.
For the Bengals to look this bad, or look that bad week 1, I had in the back of my mind that they would play better week 2, but I was like, there's no way that they would win, and they almost won. But I think they'll be better going forward. Jamar Chase has to get on the same page with Burrow. That deep ball connection isn't the same anymore. They got to get that on track.
Yeah, for sure. Then you look, we're going down to the Bills and the Dolphins. All of us were wrong on this one. We all took the Dolphins,
Wasn't close.
and this game was not close even for a second.
Nope.
James Cook in the first half, that was one of the most dominating halves by a running back. I mean, then Josh Jacobs went and had it better this week. But still, if that hadn't happened, we'd all be talking about James Cook and what kind of a game he had. We still should be anyway. The bigger storyline coming out of this is Miami losing Tua to another head injury concussion. I mean, if you're Miami, you've just got to be sitting and questioning, like, how does this keep happening? Because it's not the offensive line's fault this time. Tua was running, and he just lowered his head. Tua, you're not a running back. And you have had so many head injuries in the past. I believe this is his 4th documented concussion with football, because he got one when he had that terrible injury at Alabama, and then he had 2 in 2022, and then this one. He's not going to retire, like people are saying.
Right.
But the Dolphins really should be looking into finding another veteran they can bring in.
Definitely.
For sure.
Definitely.
I think they signed Snoop Huntley off the Ravens practice squad. I think they brought him.
That's actually a pretty good backup quarterback.
But they are
Pro Bowler.
Pro Bowler.
I don't know how he made the Pro Bowl.
Technically, that's Pro Bowler.
Insane.
That is
Pro
true.
Bowler.
But I was talking to you guys before, like, the Guardian caps that have infiltrated the NFL. Jabril Peppers on the Patriots, he was wearing one yesterday. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work in terms of, having to communicate with the quarterback with the helmet, but, like, he's got to have something to where, like, you can better protect yourself, or at least, like, you have to be hyper aware, like, you cannot go head first in somebody's chest like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, we've all played sports. Like, when you're on the field, it's a different mindset. Like, you're like, forget I'm not going to get hurt. I got to get this first down. I got to score whatever it is. But, like, you have to take some more precautions. And just going more football-wise, like, his interceptions were bad. When he's playing good competition, the Bills are familiar with him, of course. But, like, Miami has a clear ceiling that they haven't been able to break through.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's health. Whether it's been Tua, whether it's been the defensive line last year, I mean, they can't stay healthy for whatever reason, and it's sad because the thing that frustrates me the most is it seems like he isn't trying his best to protect himself. Like you were just talking about how like he was diving or whatever into people. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. And even last year, like when he would fall, like it's like whenever someone touches him, his body just goes limp and he just lets it freaking whack back on the ground and just stuff like. There are running quarterbacks like Kyler Murray and Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson. And those guys, as they've gone throughout their careers, they've gotten so much better at protecting themselves. Kyler in particular is very fun. He's like fun to watch slide. He's kind of like Trey Turner almost, where like it's so smooth the way he just does it, but it's in the name of protecting yourself. And you are the key to a franchise's success. I mean, look at what the Dolphins have been the last few years when Tua has been out. I mean, they're a shell of themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's just sad to see.
Really good point.
Yeah. We did touch quite a bit on the Bears already.
Yeah.
I mean, just phenomenal performance by their defense to keep them in that game. The Texans piling up 7 sacks.
Yeah. Sad.
Ouch. I think that's really about all we need to go into on the Bears. 49ers, they did not miss a beat without Christian McCaffrey. Just rolled past the Jets. It wasn't an utter domination, but
I don't know.
I don't think I would go utter domination. It did validate my thing about the Jets' defense.
Yeah.
Like me not being as
bad,
excited on that.
I would say it was a comfortable win for the 49ers.
It was comfortable. There was never really any doubt in their minds.
And the biggest thing is they got beat on the ground. Like, with Jordan Mason. Like, CMC didn't even play, and, like, they were killing you with basically the same stuff that CMC would have been doing. So, I think they had a better performance, in week 2 against the Titans, even though they're pretty limited offensively. But we'll see how they go moving forward. And the 49ers actually lost to the Vikings, and we'll see. Vikings just have their number. Brian Flores making it hard for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, that one, I was really surprised when I saw that. I mean, but good teams are always going to have that. Maybe this is the 49ers' one game this year that you're just like, how did they manage to lose that game?
Yeah. Going
into the picks this week, Thursday Night Football, the Jets in primetime again. They are 6.5 point favorites over the Patriots. And Jordan, you just changed
literally
your pick.
in the moment. Again, so for this week, right? Okay, we're talking about teams that are, Jets just won, right?
Mm-hmm.
An ugly game against the Titans. Patriots just lost a really rough game to the Seahawks, right? But you were talking about how much better you think the Seahawks played this week, right?
Yeah, but I also like I'm not mad at your Patriots pick because like the Patriots are like sneaky scrappy. Like their passing game is clearly limited with Jacoby Brissett. But like if he can just create and they can run the ball, like obviously run the ball, control the clock, their defense is really good, man.
And I think
really
they'll be able to get to Aaron a couple times, and it's just one of those where you just sit back and you think in your head like, okay, who can I see winning this game? Like I can't. Again, I hope they prove me wrong because I want the Jets to win this game, but I just can't visualize a Jets win, and I can just see it like 16-10, Patriots over Jets, and the whole storyline the next day is about is Aaron Rodgers done, and it's like again I don't think the Patriots are good by any stretch of imagination, but it's just it's a visualize it kind of a game. I have another one coming up later, so we'll get to that.
The Jets needs to extend Hassan Reddick, by the way. Like you need him badly as a pass rusher on that other.
Or trade him to the Bears.
I don't think they're going to trade him because that's such a bad optics move to trade Bryce Huff for somebody and then not get anything back. But I'm taking the Jets. I think they look better in the second half against the Titans, and like the Patriots' offense is so limited to where like I know they look bad against the run against the 49ers, but I put stock into the Jets as well this year. Aaron Rodgers doesn't look great. Like he clearly is taking a step back even from his last year with Green Bay, but I'm expecting them to get the ball to their playmakers.
Yeah, I don't think the Jets are Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, right.
They're playoff wild card playoff contenders. I'm not sure they make the playoffs. Honestly, their offense just
you're missing another receiver, I think.
Yeah, like Mike Williams was kind of supposed to be that guy. He didn't have a target in Week 1. Alan Lazard.
He didn't play Week 1.
He didn't?
No, he didn't play Week 1.
Oh,
I don't know if he. I don't know if he played
sense.
yesterday. I don't know if he played yesterday, but I think they're gonna pound the ball with Breece Hall there and get
they
the
have
ball
to.
Williams,
I mean,
Wilson when you have to.
Yeah, I mean Breece Hall is a phenomenal running back.
Yeah.
Like they should be using him more. They need to realize that Aaron Rodgers is 40 years old, and that he's not aging like Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Like the defense, I think they are going to play a lot better because the Patriots' offense, there's just nobody besides Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, their receiving core is, if not the worst in the NFL, because the Chargers might hold that title. It's
pretty bad.
Probably 30th, if not lower.
Yeah.
So I think the Jets still win this game. Then we go to Sunday, 3:25 p.m. Ravens and Cowboys. Cowboys are 1-point favorites in this game.
Why can I not remember a time that these teams like have played each other before? Like it seems it's a rare matchup, but it's a fun one. It's a fun one.
This is kind of tough, I guess. Two teams are coming off of pretty tough losses. Ravens losing at home to the Raiders, and then the Cowboys getting blitzed by the Saints at home. But the Cowboys, just those same issues. You cannot defend the run, but the Ravens don't have a Shanahan type offense, which the Saints, who just hired Clint Kubiak in the offseason to be their OC, who are they're looking really good. But I just can't see the Ravens going 0-3 to start the year. Like I can see the Cowboys looking bad 2 weeks in a row. I just cannot envision the Ravens being 0-3 as bad as they look. But they need this is a must win for them.
Yeah, it definitely is. The Ravens haven't been 0-2 since 2015 with John Harbaugh. The only time they've been 0-2 with John Harbaugh was in 2015, and they finished that year 5-11. These Ravens are not finishing 5-11.
Right.
There's too much talent on that team. That being said, I am taking the Cowboys in this game. The Cowboys, outside of last week and their playoff loss to the Packers, they had won a ridiculous amount, like a ridiculous number of games in a row at home. I think it was either like 11 or 17 or something. It was just crazy how many home games in a row they'd won besides the playoffs. Then the Saints go in and blow them out. They're embarrassed. Like, you have to show up for your home crowd. They can't stop the run, which is really a problem against the Ravens.
They also can't run it.
They can't run it either. I don't think that's going to hurt them too bad against the Ravens. But like Jay Cruz, you were saying, visualize who's winning this game. Just close your eyes. Who's winning this game? I think they're going to probably let me down, but it's just this feeling that I have that the Cowboys are going to win this game.
Yeah, this is the opposite. For me, it's the opposite of a close your eyes game. I think the Ravens, their problems are much easier to be fixed than the Cowboys, especially Howard talked about how he loves Derrick Henry this week. I think he's going to have an incredible game. against these Cowboys. And we were talking before the year about how Cowboys didn't get better. Their roster isn't better. Well, I think we saw that last week against the Saints. I think that first game against Cleveland was it led us the wrong way. And as my friend's grandma once said, wise man makes observations in week 1. A foolish man draws conclusions. I think a lot of people, myself included, made that mistake after the Cowboys beat the Browns in week 1. And then obviously with the Saints doing what they did, it was just crazy. I believe the Cowboys in their last 2 home games, counting the Packers game last year, have gotten outscored like 92 to how much did they score in the Packers game?
20,
92 to
Garbage
36. 92 to 36 in their last 2 home games. So I don't expect a 40-point performance from the Ravens. I mean, it wouldn't shock me, honestly, because they're probably going to try to do the exact same thing the Saints just did. So in terms of their play style. So yeah, I'm going to roll with Howard on this one. Give me the Ravens.
We've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Chiefs Falcons. This one is just so clear cut.
Yeah.
Jordan, you said it last week. Can't pick against the Chiefs until they give you a reason not to.
Yep.
I really don't have much more than that. I mean,
Yep. Visualize it.
Yeah, visualize it. I don't really have to. The Falcons are actually on this list again later, and we can kind of talk about them more there.
Yeah.
Chiefs. That's really all I got.
Yeah, I think this is a Travis Kelce breakout game.
Yeah, we'll see how the Falcons look tonight, but I don't see the Falcons winning, unless they show major improvements tonight, and even then, I don't see them winning.
Probably not. Then we go to the Commanders and the Bengals. The Commanders who just lost to the Giants, and the Bengals who suffered a 1-point heartbreaker to the Chiefs.
They beat the Giants.
Who? No, they beat the Giants.
They
They
did?
beat the
Yeah,
Giants.
they
Game-winning field goal.
Oh,
7 field
I'm
goals.
sorry.
Yeah. No,
Won
you're
by
good.
3, 21-18.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have easily lost.
Yeah, I had it reversed in my mind. That's my fault there. Sorry to the listeners. I'm taking the Bengals. They're 7.5-point favorites. I think that line might be a little steep, but
Really?
I do.
Yeah, no, I think they're gonna crush them.
I think
Really?
they really look a lot better, especially defensively.
Yeah.
To where the Commanders not a lot of no talent on defense, and I'm expecting them to win comfortably, especially at home.
Yeah, I can see why you're saying that, and this could very well prove me wrong. I still don't love the Bengals defense. They looked like the Bengals, the Bengals everybody expects them to look like when they played the Chiefs, but the Bengals have a really bad habit of playing down to competition. We saw it in Week 1 against the Patriots. I don't know if it's Zach Taylor's coaching style or their leadership or what it is, but they just can't. They're almost too emotional of a team, and they just can't seem to regulate that. And I think if the Commanders are able to go and start strong, they'll have a chance to at least keep it close. They're not going to win the game. Book it. Commanders are not winning this game. Watch, I'll have another loss next to my name next week just because I said that. But
I see your point though. Jaguars, Bills.
Bills.
This was tough for me because
Really?
yeah,
Really?
I mean, are the Jags really gonna start 0-3?
Yeah.
Bro, they haven't been good for a season. Well, not a season and a half, but last half of last year, to start this year, their offense.
It's bad.
The Jaguars fans are they're calling about the play calling. They are upset about it. The offensive line is really bad. The Bills have looked great to start the year. That performance against Miami, even defensively with all the injuries they've got, they just find a way continuously to compete defensively. But I'm expecting the Bills to win this one. At home too, I don't see a world where the Jaguars win.
I think it's gonna be closer than people think. I'm not saying, and by that I mean I don't think they're gonna get blown out. We're talking a 27-17, 27-20 game. There's certain teams in the league you're just they can't be this bad, right? But maybe they are. And then you got to start asking questions about Trevor and what kind of system they're running there. Obviously, the play calling has been awful. ETN hasn't been getting nearly as much involved as you would probably like him to. I don't know. It's bad times in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah. The Bills are just an overwhelming force right now. I think they're on a mission to prove, because a lot of people were not high on the Bills coming into this season. I was one of them. I took the under on their win total for the year, which I'm glad that I didn't actually bet on that, because I would be probably losing that very quickly, barring something completely unforeseen. But the Bills have just looked so good, and the Jags have been so uninspiring. They haven't been bad per se,
Right.
but just not. There's nothing that makes me want to pick the Jags to win this game. And then we have one more. We have our holdover game, Monday Night Football, tonight on ESPN, and with the Manning brothers on ESPN2, if that's actually still on TV for the whole season.
It is, I think, yeah.
It probably is. I'm not sure it'll make it to the end of the year. Did you see how bad the numbers were on that?
Oh, were they really that bad?
Oh,
I
it
didn't
was
see
like, I saw some. I don't want to misquote it, but it was like under 100,000 peak viewers.
Oof.
It was
that. I mean,
bad.
I'll tell you this, I don't watch it, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't either.
I mean,
Like-
it seems like it's entertaining stuff. Like, I like the clips that I see,
Yeah.
hmm
but, yeah, I don't really know who's watching that.
Yeah, I don't either. But we have Falcons-Eagles tonight on Monday Night Football. It's a clean sweep across the board with the Eagles. The Falcons just didn't look good in Week 1 against the Steelers. Hopefully they can turn it around, but if Kirk Cousins is still hobbling around like he is not fully healthy. I really don't see this going very well for the Falcons.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing we said last week. Like, Kirk, like, he is extremely limited right now. And the Eagles look very solid in their first game against the Packers. A lot of rest as well. Going into Philadelphia, I don't see how you look better and win this game.
No. And so we're going from Philadelphia. Do we just want to stay in Philadelphia but change sports?
We can.
Yeah, may as well.
Might as well. Philly, as the Philadelphia Phillies, the Phillies are leading the NL East, and they were the first team to 90 wins in baseball. They are the 1 seed. As we shift to baseball, just hit some quick storylines. I think the biggest one is like some injuries that are going on. Tyler Glasnow, who's had a couple IL stints this year, he's not going to be back for the rest of the year. And I think that was a big concern going into the season when they traded for him, was like the injury bug. He's always hurt. And now he'll miss his first season with them in the playoffs. And also a huge one, Francisco Lindor, the shortstop for the Mets. He got pulled in Friday's game. Then he sat Saturday's game with a kind of a back injury, tweaked it on a swing. And then he started yesterday's game, but then they pulled him out of yesterday's game as well. If they lose him, and they're tied with the Braves for the last wildcard spot, I think they have the tiebreaker as we speak. But if you don't have him these last 2 weeks of the year,
It's done.
I don't think you have a chance to get in over the Braves.
Not a shot.
That's a very huge storyline for the playoff race. And also a story that popped up over the weekend is Shohei Ohtani, and I think it's unreal that the season he's had, it's kind of gone under the radar that he's been rehabbing this whole season from Tommy John. That's pretty unreal, that the season that he's put up while rehabbing. But there's talk about him potentially returning in the postseason. I think it would be as a reliever. Can you imagine the year he put up offensively and then just been brought out of the bullpen?
That would be insane, but if I were the Dodgers, if I was a Dodgers fan, I'd be like, don't risk it.
Exactly.
Please don't risk this. Like, you
Yeah.
are the key to our success over these next 10 years. I mean, with all the great Dodger teams in the past that had no business losing in the playoffs, like, they don't actually need him, but like in terms of like them, the Dodgers being who they think they can be, they do need him. And so it's I would say don't risk it.
Right.
Because now, granted, they do need pitching help. Again, we just talked about all the injuries they have, and that's another thing. You got to start asking questions about whatever's going on in the Dodgers pitching department.
Yeah.
Dustin May, it's Dustin, right?
It's Dustin
I
May.
don't know what. Yeah, Dustin May. I think it's Dusty May, the Indiana head coach.
Oh,
Dustin May, and then Walker Buehler spent so much time on the injured list, and obviously with Shohei, which that wasn't the Dodgers thing, but yeah, you just got to start asking questions because they've dealt with a lot of these in the past.
Yeah.
And it's really hurt their playoff chances, especially these last couple of seasons.
For sure. Speaking on that, it's interesting because, like, I know how deep, like, in terms of analytically and how developmentally driven the Dodgers are in terms of, like, getting guys to, have breakout years and developing pitchers, and how many injuries they end up having because, how much stress, I guess, it puts on your arm. Yeah. Whereas, like, my team, the Cardinals, we don't have those issues because we sign old guys who throw sinkers and put the ball in play.
Big country.
All right. Also, we talked about the Tigers a little bit next week, But sneaking up and who are tied with the Tigers is the Seattle Mariners, who I've been out on for a while now because they just cannot find a way to hit. They took 2 out of 3, I think, from the Rangers this past weekend.
I think they swept them, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They're 2.5 back with tied. Do we think they have a chance? We talked about the Twins enough. Like, the Twins are falling. They just lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds this weekend. They still have not got Correa back. And even, like, the rest, I've talked about their lineup, but, like, the lineup is kind of falling to earth.
Mm-hmm.
The pitching is facing some injuries. There's a chance that the Mariners or the Tigers could sneak in. Who do we think is going to get that last wild card spot?
I have no idea. It's
No
anybody's
clue.
guess at this point, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the Correa, I did see that he was, like, technically activated,
Really?
right?
Oh, this past week on
I
Saturday.
think he was
yeah.
technically activated, but I don't think he played. I know he didn't play Sunday.
Yeah.
I would still say the Twins barely. I mean, the Mariners do play the Yankees
yeah.
and the Astros coming up. And
That's
again,
rough.
I hate doing this because it's like boring content. But if
Yeah.
we're trying to be right,
Right.
we do got to play the schedule game. The Twins play the Guardians this week. That's a huge series.
Mm-hmm.
And then they play Boston, Miami, and then Baltimore last week. Who knows where Baltimore will be in terms of having something wrapped up. So
Yeah.
I still would pick the Twins. Again, I don't say that with any confidence whatsoever. Tigers go at KC, at Baltimore. Yeah, I think, and then Rays at home. I think in the near future, I think we can expect a spike a little bit from the Twins to at least hold in that race because all 3 of those teams have tough matchups early in this week.
I don't know. I'm going to disagree with you. I like the Tigers just a little bit more in this. Now, they do have to make up 2.5 games. So that's where it gets a little dicey. But
it'll be like 3 because obviously you don't have halves and
Right.
the season's end. But
Right.
tiebreakers and all that other stuff. So
yeah, so they got to make up basically 3 games.
I think so.
And like Jay Cruz said, they go to KC to play the Royals and my boy Bobby Witt. And then they have the Orioles. The Orioles are,
They're reeling.
Yeah.
They
they're
just lost 2 out of 3 to the Tigers Orioles.
Yeah.
they're injured. They're not in a good space right now.
Can't hit.
Can't hit. I mean, the Orioles are free falling right now.
Finally starting to see the Yankees kind of separate.
It's
a little
kinda,
bit,
yeah.
Which we've been waiting for one of those teams to do that all season.
Yeah, and the Tigers' end of the season, Jay Cruz said it, but I think they can take 2 or 3 from the Orioles. They need 2 or 3 from the words.
Mm-hmm.
Words. They
Mhm.
need 2 of 3 from the Royals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can take it from the Orioles. It's just too close. Orioles, Royals. There's too many R's
I
in there.
mess that up every single time.
Too many R's. And then they have the Rays. The Rays are just, Tampa Bay Rays.
They're frisky.
They're frisky, but I'm not.
They can be beat, I will say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
can
they
be
can be beaten. And then White Sox, they better end the
Gotta
season
sweep.
on a sweep.
Gotta sweep that.
Winners of 2 in a row, the Chicago White Sox.
Oh,
2 in a row, that,
who did they just
They've,
play?
they've won 2 in a row against the Athletics,
Oh,
Man.
which is not that much of an accomplishment.
True.
no.
But I mean, hey, good for them.
All right, we're 2 weeks left. I want to do a little simulating of the playoffs right now and how
Mhm.
we feel. Who would be our World Series pick
Mm-hmm.
as it stood today? So it's 3 of us. So we go by majority rules.
Okay.
We can vote on it. So we're gonna start with the wild card. We'll do NL first.
Okay.
Mets versus Brewers. Remember, it's that 3 game set. So who do we got? Mets versus Brewers as of right now.
Brewers.
Brewers.
I think I'm gonna go with Brewers as well. That Lindor injury is really scaring me. But the Mets have sneaky pitching. If they
Yeah.
can find a way.
And the Brewers have found a way to continue to win games at a high level, even without Yelich. So it's a big deal.
Yeah. All right, other side. Well, not other side, but other NL set. Diamondbacks versus Padres. This is a tough one.
It sucks that one of these 2 teams has to leave in the first round because they
It
both
is.
feel like
Yes,
second
yes,
round
it
teams.
is.
But that's how deep the top of the NL is this year.
Who do we got?
Jay Cruz.
I'm going to lean D-backs because they've been there before. I think their rotation is just slightly better.
Slightly.
Barely.
Honestly,
I mean,
I
you're
don't
really
even
splitting
know.
hairs. If you
Yeah.
said Padres, I wouldn't be mad at you.
yeah.
I mean, the fact, again, Darvish, shout out to him. He's still killing it.
Mm-hmm.
As old as he is.
Old man Darvish. He's
Michael
37.
King, Joe
He's
Musgrove.
Michael King's been awesome.
Dylan Cease didn't even. Yeah. I
Which
don't
he
know.
hasn't been great, but I mean,
Yeah.
I would say Diamondbacks only because they've been there before. That's it. And I mean, right now it would be in San Diego too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Come back to me on that one because that's probably going to happen too. most likely. Like, we're probably going to actually get to see that, so we can make official predictions when that time comes.
I like the Padres. Like, I will disagree with you. I just think that the Padres are really feeling themselves this year. Like, they're kind of giving me the vibes of, like, the Diamondbacks last year. Like, they're a really frisky team. They're just really confident coming into the playoffs. Like, they feel good. It's a little bit different lineup than they've had in the last few years where they've been kind of disappointing. There's just enough difference. Yeah. And the rotation, I think, is the healthiest it's been. They don't have Blake Snell this year, but he was like a deceptively good. How good was he really in San Diego? So, Padres, I guess.
I'm going to go Padres barely. I think they have the depth in the bullpen that's better than the Snakes, and also like kind of like what Ryan said, like their intensity and like the energy around the team is just, I can't see them going out first round again. So, or not again, but moving on or to the other side now, Twins versus Astros. I think this is pretty simple as of right now. They just got Kyle Tucker back, so we got Houston.
No hesitation, Astros.
Yep.
And then other wild card set, Royals versus Orioles. And as the Orioles are playing right now, and the way the Royals have kind of got back on track, I think I'm going to go Royals as we speak.
Give me KC. I'm right there with you.
I want to pick the Orioles because I love the Orioles coming into this season.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got to take into account how it doesn't matter how you start. It matters how you finish.
Right.
They've been limping.
Yeah, they've been limping for like a month.
For sure.
They just haven't looked good. Really, I mean, the All-Star break, they didn't look great after that, and then they really fell off like at the beginning of August. So, KC.
They do from a team construction standpoint kind of remind me of last year's Rangers in a way.
The Orioles?
The Orioles do.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, like Santander, Garcia, like the same kind of player there.
I can see that.
You know, a bunch of young, good like Evan Carter last year. I don't know. There's just something that I don't think they're going to get it together in time, unfortunately. Like, they're really falling apart here.
Yeah.
All right, now in our divisional series, we got Dodgers versus Brewers. Who do we got?
LA.
If Yelich was healthy and a couple other guys were healthy, I would pick the Brewers, but I'm going to go with the Dodgers.
I think the Dodgers
Barely.
I think the Dodgers took 4 out of 6 this year, and regular season obviously is a different game than the postseason. But I'm expecting the Dodgers. I don't know, with Shohei this year, that is a difference maker in your lineup, and their lineup is pretty deep. I got Tommy Edmonds going crazy as well, so I'm taking.
Which is just ridiculous. Why is he doing this now? That's unreal.
I really don't want to talk about it.
Dodgers have some freaking formula, dude. Because Hayward was doing the same thing when he went there last year. So it's like, I don't understand.
Dude, it's like MJ's secret stuff in Space Jam. Like, what's it?
Kopech, when he's been going crazy too.
Kopech's been great. Yeah.
Yeah. What's in their Gatorade coolers? But
for sure.
Yeah, LA. They've got some demons they got to exercise through the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure.
Shohei is the difference this year. Like, their roster is largely the same from last year, but then you add Shohei to it. So, Dodgers.
Then we got Phillies versus Padres. This is the NLCS from a couple years ago. This is a tough one.
I hate that we have to pick this one.
This isn't even
in the division
NLCS.
series.
Yeah, exactly. So, who do we got?
Because I would pick both of these teams to be the Dodgers and or Brewers. But dude, this is really, really tough.
This is tough.
My heart wants to go with the Padres. My head's telling me to pick the Phillies. I'll stick with my head. I'll pick the Phillies, but it's not because I want to, because I feel like I have to.
Yeah. I'm just so on the Padres bandwagon right now. Like, they've been the NLCS, and a lot of their team is different from when they played Philly in there. Philly's team is largely the same besides Trey Turner. But Padres. And I said the same thing, like, when I picked them over the Diamondbacks. Padres. But, like, the top of the NL is so good. You just can't. Padres. Lock it in.
There you go.
I'm going to take the Phillies. I think Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola, like, in a playoff setting, like, every time, like, they give you like 7 innings, no more than like 2 runs every single time.
Ranger
Like,
Suarez.
For sure. Christopher Sanchez he's had a great year, and he's like their 4. He'll probably come out of their bullpen or only pitch 1 game in the series. But I'm rolling with the Phillies. Let's go back over to the AL. It'll be Guardians versus Houston. And I think I know who all we're going to roll with on this one.
H-Town.
Bang the lids.
Yep. Guardians have just been struggling offensively, where like Houston is rolling. Then we got Yankees versus Royals.
Oh, I want to pick the Royals so bad.
I do as well. Like this,
I'm not going to.
That'll be crazy though. From where they were, if they got to the
crazy.
ALCS to where it's at right now, I don't know.
I'm not gonna do it, but I want to pick the Royals really, really bad. Yeah. I'll be rooting for them hard as heck.
Head-to-head MVP candidates between Judge and Bobby Witt. We all know where I stand on that. The Royals have gotten so much better this year, but this is not their final construction as a team. Like they
need a few more pieces.
Yeah, they need more pieces. I would love to see them in the ALCS. I think that'd be good for baseball if they were in the ALCS. But the Yankees, kind of like the Dodgers, I mean, they have to prove people wrong this year, like, or prove them right, depending on where you stand on them. But in their lineup, I mean, we talk about their injuries that they're fighting, but it's the Yankees. Like, they spend so much money to be as deep as they are. I'm gonna take the Yankees.
I'm going to take the Yankees, too. I think they're getting a little better. We'll see how Judge looks in the playoffs, but also adding Soto to that.
Juan Soto is a big part
is a difference maker.
Yeah.
The rotation, a little worried about that, though. We'll see. Versus the Royals, who you got Cole, Reagans, Lugo. But they just played, actually, last week, and the Yankees 2 out of 3. So we'll see. But I'm taking the Yankees as well. Our NLCS is going to be Phillies versus Dodgers.
What a great series this would be.
This is elite ball. The NL, there's so many great matchups that you can fall under. But who do we got? I'm gonna hear you guys' reasoning because I'm struggling to pick a winner here.
No, I actually didn't struggle very much. I'm going Phillies. Again, they're healthier in the rotation.
Yeah,
that's really all it comes down to for me. And the rotation, you saw it with the Rangers last year, what Jordan Montgomery was able to do. Again, they weren't all that great during the season, but they were able to figure it out toward the end. I trust the Phillies bullpen just a little bit more. Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 of the Cubs, by the way, last week.
They did.
Series the Cubs could have swept as well. Yeah. So yeah, that told me all I need to see about this Dodgers team. Again, you love their offense, you love Mookie, you love Shohei, you love Freddie Freeman, but excuse me. But yeah, I just like the Phillies, man. This is their year. I'm gonna pick them to win the whole thing too. Just spoiler alert.
So I did pick against the Phillies in the last round, but because of group consensus, they advanced. I will pick the Phillies to advance here. I like how they match up against the Dodgers better. J. Cruz, you kind of were talking about it already, the rotations, and Phillies' rotation is just better for starters. Now, if Shohei were pitching and starting games, it'd be a different story. But this year, Phillies' rotation is better. They just have a history of playoff performers. Like, you look at Kyle Schwarber, you look at Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, and then their young guys that are coming on too. I mean, the Phillies are here, and they want it so bad. Now, I'm not saying the Dodgers don't, because obviously they do, because their Mickey Mouse title in 2020, like, nobody buys that.
Nope.
But
if my team won, it would count.
Obviously, if the Cubs had won, that would be there. Yeah.
I think I'm going to roll with the Phillies, too. Just kind of lining up the rotation. They just got Yamamoto back, but in a playoff series, like I said, Wheeler and Nola, man, they are unreal. And the Phillies, they'll have home field as of right now. So rolling with Philly to get back to the World Series. And then we got the classic. The Yankees fans' nightmare, by the way, if they face this team again. But it'll be Yankees versus Astros. And I'll start off where I think it'll be the same result.
I agree. Astros. Thankfully, they don't have Chapman this time to give up a homer to Altuve.
But they do have Clay Holmes, who
they do have Clay Holmes.
Is their new Chapman. But.
Yeah. So Astros. I mean, it actually weirdly it gets easier to predict as you go deeper into the playoffs, which is kind of supposed to be the opposite. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, World Series rematch, I think. Didn't they play?
2 years ago.
Which for the Astros to make the World Series after as bad as they were at the beginning, it's unfair. It's unfair is what it is. It's
Unfair.
It's
And that'd
not
be-
right. It's not
That'd be
right.
6 of 8, right? Six World Series in 8 years.
8 straight ALCSs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they added Hader. Still got Presley and Abreu back there. You just got Kyle Tucker back, as I said. Jordan, Bregman, Altuve.
They're just stacked. They're
Yeah,
stacked.
Diaz. I mean, yeah. So, that's going to make a tough decision for you guys for Houston versus Philly. I will say this was my preseason World Series pick. And
Great
I picked
pick.
the Phillies beforehand, and I'm going to pick them now. I just have a feeling about them. They're going to win one eventually. I don't know when that's going to be. I guess it'll be this year, as we talked about the parity, where I think they'll stand out from the rest.
I agree. Phillies.
The Phillies were my preseason pick for the World Series. I did not have the Astros there. But, yeah, I mean, Phillies, if not now, when?
Yeah.
Is kind of what I'm thinking. I mean,
Good point.
your guys, they're not old, but they're not young. So, like, if not now, when are you going to do it?
Right.
It's time to do it. Beat revenge. The Astros beat you once. Don't let it happen again. Phillies, World Series champions, 2024.
That's all I got for the baseball segment. Now we're off the dog treats.
Off the dog treats, and I'm going to start with Ryan Greaser on this one. Scorigami.
Yeah.
What about Scorigami?
Do you guys know what scorigami is?
I do know what Scorigami is.
I'm glad you do.
Well, for people at home that don't know.
Yeah, for the people at home who don't know, so the NFL, because of the ways that you can score points, it leads to a lot of unique scores. It's not just like it's not like baseball where everything is 1. The NFL, you can score 6 or 2 or 1, like an extra point, or 3. Like, there's so many different ways to score points. You can get a lot of different outcomes on that. So I just like keeping track of like when it happens, like looking at the chart and stuff and seeing like another green box get filled in. So there's a website for Scorigami. Like, I'm sure you guys have seen it, but it's just this beautiful chart that can get filled in every time there's Scorigami. And there was this week in that Saints-Cowboys game, I believe 44-19 was the final in that.
Yep.
So just a fun little thing to look at every once in a while.
Yeah, I actually found a very sicko account this weekend. It was a college Scorigami.
Oh my
College
gosh.
football. Probably
That's
just
definitely crazier.
D1.
I think it might be crazier.
But like that
That is crazier.
That's like
100%.
It's like 9 times the amount of games, which is just wild. That's unbelievable. Howard, what you got a problem with obscure jersey numbers in football, or like?
Well,
Maybe he does. Hold up.
J. Cruz, I just want to hear it. I would like to hear your perspective because I know you're such a big college football guy. But like, I think we were doing the game on Saturday, and like Doone Smith, former Saluki, linebacker, wearing 13. Now, I started watching NFL like as a kid first, so that's to be like traditional. It'll be like linebackers wear 50, receivers wear 80 or something in the teens. D linemen wear 90, cornerbacks wear 20 and 30, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think just my biggest problem with it is like I don't want to see, and like I disclaimer, I want guys to have freedom to they're players, they give us the product and stuff like that, but defensive guys wearing stuff in the teens, I can't do it. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem right.
I think the only guy I've gotten used to with it is Kyle Hamilton wearing 14, and that might just because he's good. Like, if he wasn't good, I probably wouldn't be able to rock with that either. But Jadeveon Clowney last year was wearing 24.
Yeah, that looked bad. Jerome
Baker, a Seahawks linebacker, he's wearing 17. It's like numbers in the teens for defensive guys. I cannot rock with it whatsoever.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. For me, it's weirder in the NFL than it is college because it's weird. I like seeing NFL guys who are going back to their college numbers now.
Yeah.
Like Odell went from 13
to 3.
back to 3. That's awesome.
I'm cool. Single digits, I'm perfectly fine with.
Zeke Elliott went from 15. Like, he started at 21 in the NFL, and now he's back at 15. Like, for me, that's cool. And there's certain, like Patrick Peterson. Like, you weren't allowed to wear single digits on the defensive side, but in college he wore 7. I'm surprised Tyrann Mathieu hasn't gone back to 7.
Yeah. Maybe he just got attached at 32.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know. But like he's a guy that like stayed with it and stayed with his number. Other than that, I'm not really too opinionated on it. Again, I like seeing college guys being able to go back to their college number. In terms of like linebackers wearing 13 though, yeah, I'm not the world's biggest fan of that. There aren't too many in the NFL like that, are there? Like I know Roquan Smith wears 0.
Bro, when he got traded though, he wore 18. And
He
I was
did
like,
wear 18.
I was
yeah.
like, what is
That's kinda weird.
So weird.
That's kind of weird.
I can't get
like
behind
D linemen, like the nose tackles wearing single digits
Yeah.
and or like teen numbers too.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
It's
If
kind
you're
of weird.
That's nasty work.
No.
if you're above 260 pounds, you don't get to wear single digits.
No, you don't.
Get in those 70s, get in those 90s.
It's like in school when they give you the jersey number based on like what size you are or
Yeah,
whatever.
Mhm.
Like that's how it should be. That's how it
Yeah.
should be. I've talked. I feel like a broken record at this point. I've talked about like watching experiences and how everyone watches the games and the multiple TV, the one TV setups or whatever. But the last couple of weeks, I saw this thing. It's I think it's in Dallas, at this place called. I'm not going to even attempt to pronounce it. It's COSM, like Cosm, I guess.
Cosm.
Okay, I pronounced it. Okay, anyway, but it's this thing where it's kind of like the Sphere in Las Vegas almost, and it's like they put a camera in the actual stadium,
Yeah.
and then like broadcast a sideline view.
They had the Michigan game up
They
last
did
week, right?
against Texas, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm sorry, but I'm just not a huge fan of that. Like, I don't think that's cool. Like, I mean, it's cool, but I don't think it's better than watching on TV, like a regular TV copy. Like, 'cause
No.
the visuals are just too much. Like, it's
Right.
just too much light. It's just, I don't know. And that opens up the thing. Also, this weekend, the UFC had an event at the Sphere in Vegas.
I had a buddy go to that.
I mean, again, it looks cool, but for someone like me, it's just like it looks like you're being crushed with stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. For me personally, I'm not a huge fan of that concept. Again, it does look freaking cool. I would love to experience it at least once in my life, but I don't know if that's really the most enjoyable way to watch something, especially at that Cosm thing or whatever. I'm sure it costs a lot to just
Yeah.
do that,
Right.
and you probably like buy food and stuff too, so you end up spending a lot more money. Now I'm getting into economics talk, but like, you get what I'm saying though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one bothers me more than the Sphere. I would really like to go to an event just because I do like event production. Like, that's kind of my job. I want to see a show at the Sphere sometime. But the Cosm thing, I didn't even think about it until I started reading the comments on it, and they were like, this is so bad. Like, you're sitting up in the nosebleeds. Like, it's not even like a good view.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It's kind of that kind of thing. I want to do it like once just to say I've done it. But I don't think that I would want to make that a regular thing.
No.
Because it's like the nosebleeds in a stadium, except you don't get the added bonus of like the actual crowd noise and the
Right.
little movement of the stadium and like feeling the momentum.
I think, like Ryan said, I just want to be it once or do it once. The Sphere seems a lot more appealing, but kind of related. Like, did you guys see the watch party that the Bengals did for the game against the Chiefs? They did it in their stadium. You have to pay $100 to watch the game on the scoreboard on the field,
Oh, I don't
and
like
they
that.
had it had to be less than 50 people there. Like, nobody showed up. And I was like, of course not, because who would want to go to watch something on the field and pay for it? Like, you have to pay for it. It's not like a watch party where, like, you sit in the stands and watch it or something. No, you have to get on the field. Who cares?
See, now what I do like, and you see this a lot in March Madness, where like
Yeah.
when UConn went to the championship, they get their whole student body that couldn't go to the game
Yeah.
in their arena and
Right.
watch it. But that's a little bit different than the football field, because
Yeah.
the video board's right in the middle of the arena, and
That
everyone's in
and they're
there.
still producing a show for it.
Right,
Like, that's the
right. But
But
difference.
the football
It's not,
game is just like you have to get a good spot, and you got to pay $100 too.
$100.
That's
total.
ridiculous.
That's insane.
No.
Yeah, and watching it on the field, like, that's the worst view in a stadium for the
Yeah.
video board. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's not at all optimized to see from the field.
Mhm.
So, I mean, good on the Bengals for like trying to do something cool, but that obviously did not work out for them.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Inside Sports, episode 4. And of course, the DE is always capitalized. This week's episode is going to come out on YouTube, on Spotify, hopefully on Thursday. Editor Will, I see you back there. Hopefully on Thursday. That's when we're going to try to get them out. Obviously, we all do a lot here, so we're going to do our best. If you're listening on Spotify, please check out the new YouTube channel. It's Inside Sports. This week's podcast, like I said, will release on Thursday. For Howard Woodard, Ryan Greaser, this is Jordan Cruz. Signing off. Go Dogs. And get out to Davies Gym this week.
Facts.
Get out to Saluki Stadium on Saturday night. And, of course, the Lou Hartzog Track and Field Complex as well. We'll see you later. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.